Check it out. Give me my spec. Check it out. Give me my spec.
Well, hello, and welcome to another edition of the Movie Mavens. We're back after a long absence, and we're so glad to be back with you. I'm Dara.
I'm Deandra.
And today we're going to review The Town, starring Ben Affleck.
They took me as a hostage.
Were you able to see anything at all through the blindfold?
No.
So, one of the things that I noticed, Dara, when I was reading reviews is there was a lot of talk about character development and how that kind of made you feel for the characters in spite of the cliches. Mm-hmm. And I can really relate to that. I felt that, I was really able to feel for the characters even though they were, thieves. Mm-hmm. They, I kind of sympathized with them, especially seeing Ben Affleck's character's past and his father, his upbringing, all those different things that played into the person he became.
Yeah, it's one of those films that kind of weirdly has you rooting for the bad guy,
mm-hmm.
in a way.
Yeah.
This film is set in a Boston neighborhood called Charlestown. Apparently a lot of the bank robberies and armed car robberies take place in this 1 mile radius of this neighborhood, Charleston, in Boston. And so Ben Affleck definitely knows Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's great with the accents, he's great with the ambiance, with the working class neighborhoods. You get the sense that you're really being immersed in this culture that you may not know a whole lot about, but by the time you finish, it's like you're familiar with these people, like they're your friends and your neighbors.
Yeah.
And you kind of know what to expect from it.
Yeah.
And thankfully there was a really strong supporting cast with Blake Lively, Rebecca Hall, Jon Hamm, and Jeremy Renner, who all did excellent jobs.
Yeah. Especially Jeremy Renner. I thought he did a really good job as, just that sidekick time bomb.
Yeah, that's the thing about him. Like, anytime he was in the room, you just kind of knew, like, something weird was going to go on. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was the soundtrack that was just kind of creating that tension, or if it was just himself. You always felt like he was kind of straight on the edge and just about to fall off. You never quite knew what was about to happen. Yeah. So I thought he did a really good job in that role. And then I had to say that with Rebecca Hall, when I first saw her, I thought, oh, please let this not be one of the main actresses in this film. She kind of had, I don't know, she kind of looked to me like a Chelsea Clinton.
I know what you mean. Like, yeah, I kind of felt that way too.
I was like, no, please, no. But I actually ended up kind of being pleasantly surprised by her. It was kind of a different choice, and I'm sure that they had their reasons for going with her. But actually, by the end of it, it was like, I don't know, she kind of fell into some kind of actressy cliches in the moments that required a lot of emotion and crying and angst and that kind of thing. But for the most part, she was actually pretty likable.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And one of the, and I don't know if this is really a problem, well, a couple things about the film is that, number one, I kind of felt like, just with the quotes in the beginning about how, it being from Charleston nearly ruined my life, but, I'm proud to be from there. I felt like overall the film kind of leaned towards glorifying the violence of it all, and that's just kind of a personal, thing that I thought about that. But also, I was thinking the end kind of left me feeling like I wanted a little bit more. I felt like I was glad for the redemption side of it, but I kind of felt like, is that it? He's just standing by the river. I mean, I want to know more about what happens with him in the future.
Right.
And I never.
Yeah, you're right. The end did leave me feeling just a little bit empty, but of course, I think that sense of ambiguity and like there's never actual full-on redemption is kind of one of the morals of the story. It's not like you can just sort of walk away from it all and never really feel the repercussions. And so you kind of did get the satisfaction of knowing that at least this guy who was striving to kind of break free from this environment that had him held back, at least he did have some opportunity to break out if he really wanted to. But I have to say that there was not enough Jon Hamm in this film. The Mad Men guy, the guy who was I call him like he was the Tommy Lee Jones to Ben Affleck's Harrison Ford. It was almost like a fugitive kind of thing. The relationship between the two of them, but I don't know. I found him kind of boring in this film.
Yes, I can agree with that.
Like, well, he's just a scare cop. He's like, we're gonna get you. I'm gonna stop, and you're gonna rot in prison.
Yeah,
like,
he did seem really. pretty square.
Yeah, I think they maybe underutilized him. And I'm like, and I also was wondering, like, what was the deal with the 5 o'clock shadow throughout this? So what cop walks around with the 5 o'clock shadow constantly? It just, I guess, his way of maybe being a rebel or whatever. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Jon Hamm in some meatier roles that maybe utilize his skills better. Because he's half the reason I went to see the film today.
Yes.
She's the one person that can give us defense.
One thing about this film, it really reminded me of just a battlefield pretty much the whole time. I don't know if you got that feel from it, but I thought that was interesting how it was kind of set up where the 4, main guys, Ben Affleck and the 3 other characters that were, working with him to rob all the banks and everything like that, they all seemed like they were soldiers, like this hardcore image of, so I thought that was interesting. And whenever they got killed, it was like a battlefield casualty.
Yeah, but I did find Ben Affleck's relationship with the girl, I found it to be believable. Like, I actually believed that she would be attracted to him and he would be attracted to her. And then maybe they could have met in the way that they met. And so that part, thankfully, did not feel contrived. Because a lot of times in these, like these crime dramas and action films, sometimes it's like the romantic part of it is lacking. You kind of have to compromise one for the other. If you go see an action film, then the romantic story doesn't really ring true, or if they're more focused on a comedy or romance, then the action is just sort of silly. But I felt like this had some of both. Like, I'm not a huge action film fan, but I loved this film because it was as much a story about characters as it was about what was happening, action-wise.
There are over 300 bank robberies in Boston every
Okay,
year.
now I did want to provide a caveat. Of course, if you're taking your child to see like a gritty crime drama that takes place in working class Boston, you know that there are going to be plenty of F-bombs that are dropped. So just a warning, there is a ton of language in this film. If you're sensitive at all in any way, do not go to see it. If you have a child that you don't want exposed to that kind of language, do not go see this film. It's not the film that you want to see if you're wanting to cover anybody's ears. And then also I wanted to say about Blake Lively, I don't know that I was really all that convinced by her, the girlfriend, that he kind of used and whatever. She had a baby that was maybe his and maybe wasn't. It was just kind of maybe too big of a jump for her. She's the girl from Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. And she had this kind of all-American girl image, and then all of a sudden she does this turn as like this, basically this, crack whore or whatever she was, It was just kind of too much. And I don't think she was nearly as convincing as she wanted to be in this role, and I'm really not sure that they made the right choice in casting her in this part.
I want to add, I have to disagree on that one, only because I've never seen her in any other movie before. So coming from that perspective, having never seen her in any other acting experience, I thought she was very convincing. But of course my perspective is skewed by the fact that I've never seen her.
Right.
So
I mean, I admire her for trying. I really admire her for going out on a limb and trying to do something that was so different and being willing to take that chance. But yeah, for me, I guess just maybe because I knew who she was, I was like, what in the world is she doing in that role and why? They could have chosen 10,000 other girls, but that's just.
Check it out. Give me my spec. Check it.
This is a really intense, gritty crime drama that's you totally get your money's worth if you go see this film. It does not get twisted and convoluted up in plot. It's not one of those twisty-turny things that you have a really hard time following. So if you're somebody who's not necessarily a fan of the genre, like me, and you also want a little bit of drama and romance and believable characters mixed in, then I would definitely recommend this. Not for anyone that is in any way sensitive to language in the least, but I'm definitely giving this my recommendation.
Yeah. And I agree with that, and also if you are sensitive to sexual content, you don't want to, that's not a good thing to see.
Well, it wasn't extreme. It wasn't
extreme,
it was there.
One scene, maybe.
1.5.
1.5. We can't put this.
1.5 sex.
I don't know what other one you're talking about.
Yeah, there were a couple, but I mean, he had one with Blake and then one with his, like, the girl that he really liked. You don't remember?
Oh, yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, and one of them was kind of more graphic, I guess, than the other. But anyway,
Mm-hmm.
go see the film. It's definitely a good film. We definitely recommend it. And thank you once again for joining the Movie Mavens, and we will see you next time around.